Thank you for coming to my channel, Compass Starlight. Looky, looky, it's another video where I'm actually showing myself on camera. Today I want to talk about the comfort of the security blanket, the blanket. Something I've touched upon in other videos, that feeling of being trapped under a blanket and trying to find your way out. So I've been doing some thinking and exploring and want to attempt to bring words to a better understanding of what that blanket is, what it feels like. I am going to touch on personal experiences. That's part of how I grow and how I learn and how I heal, and I hope that my experiences can help my viewers look into themselves and heal parts of themselves that have been wounded, or just there are ways that we let outside forces, whether it's family, friends, or social norms, form us, mold us, impose upon us. And so I am going to use my own experiences as a stepping stone for the topics I discuss. The other night I had dinner with my parents, which I could say I'm blessed that they're both still living. They are in decent health. They have issues, but as far as health is concerned. So the thing is, the dinner was fine. It was nice to have dinner out with my parents. I don't get to see them very often, and I'm currently staying in the same town as in which they reside. It would be nice if while I were here I would see them more, but it really feels like my being here is an inconvenience to them. Not that my being here is an inconvenience per se, but actually spending time with them is very much an inconvenience for their schedule. Now, again, that's how I feel. I'm not entirely sure that that's how they feel, but I mean, I do know that they are going through a transitional period in their lives as well. That being said, my parents are aware of the fact that I am homeless, and I don't think that, I'm not sure that my dad really understands, again, health issues, but my mother understands, but she doesn't really understand why or where I'm coming from. And so my mother is a very sheltered individual, and she probably would get defensive with that comment and argue against that. But it's true. She's very sheltered, and that's the life she's chosen for herself. And she has a lot of fears and insecurities, and there was another word, it just escaped me. Fears and insecurities. Anxieties, yes. I mean, I've seen this throughout my life. I've seen this manifest in her physical actions based on her surroundings. You know, we've traveled at various points in my childhood. My brother was involved in a bad accident when I was about 7 years old, and he had a medevac to the United States and was in a hospital for, I think it was 8 months. He nearly lost his life, but where that hospital was located was in a city in the United States that's not all that safe, or that it certainly has areas that are considered unsafe. They were, at least when I was 7 or 8 years old. And I just remember times when my mother would, in her anxious state of being, tell us to roll up the windows and lock the doors. I don't have those fears. Is there something wrong with that? Is there something wrong with me? I talked about in another one of the videos taking a risk and not feeling the fear. It does present a question to me. Is there something wrong? It's like when people choose partners that are not good for them. They have a broken picker, right? People, I don't know if you've heard that phrase, to have a broken picker, that you're picking challenging people to have any kind of romantic investment. Well, I'm suggesting or questioning my ability to assess reality. Should I be concerned about certain situations? And I just never, at least I can say I've never really felt an alignment with the fears that my mother has. I mean, I did make mention the other day of my hair, the length of my hair, and how I, at one point in my life, cut it all off. I think I was 17 or 18, and I just felt moved to do so. And I literally took a knife. It was my grandfather's knife, and it was like he had passed away, and it was a gift that was passed down to me. And I had this knife. I kept it in my car, and I was at the beach one day, and I literally just took my hair and took the knife and cut it off, and it was all different lengths of short. And I got home, and my mother looked at me, and she said, "Who did this to you?" As if I had been assaulted or something, and it was a choice that I made. But the point is that it was so clear that this was not a choice that she would make for herself, but this was a choice I felt I wanted to make for myself, and I felt completely confident in what I did. I felt really good after having done so. I ended up needing to sort of like get a buzz cut and having the hair evened out, because cutting it with a knife didn't, it's all over the place. But that's definitely a choice that she never would have made for herself, because I don't know, is it image is everything? I didn't align with any need to preserve an image of any certain way. I don't know. The point is that two different perspectives, two different takes. That is something she never would have done for herself, and it was something I did for myself. I was happy to do it. It felt good. I don't regret it. And it's just an example of how we can have different perspectives on the things that we do, on the choices that we make. Why would I do that? I don't know. It felt good. It felt really good. It felt liberating. Like cutting my hair really short, giving myself a buzz cut. Was that no longer appealing in a sense of the expectation society has of a young female, a young single female. Yeah, it didn't matter to me, and probably there was some element in there of like wanting to be seen for who I am, not how my hair looks. Anyway, we all make our own choices, and we stand by our choices. Doesn't mean like we don't ever make mistakes with our choices. We just make choices, we stand behind them, we have confidence in them, and yes, sometimes they fail. But we also have to be allowed to have those failures and learn from them. Again, she is a very sheltered person. So what I mean to say is that risk that I refer to, that I took, and I had to consider death, right? If that's a potential outcome. There is a sense of danger. And my mother would never consider taking on the risk because of her own insecurities and her own fears and her own anxieties. So she's coming from a perspective of the fears and insecurities that she has that make up who she is. And everything she lays her eyes on in the world comes from her own perspective. She's always going to look at things through her own eyes, through her own perspective. And so she was at dinner trying to offer suggestions that would, in theory, help me out of the situation I'm in, where I'm finding myself homeless, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I also know it's a result of choices that I have made. And at least at this point, I don't have fears about it. It is a choice that I made consciously, that I'm going in this direction, and if it means me being homeless, then I still stand behind my decisions to move in that direction. The point is that I'm trying to make, that when my mother tries to offer suggestions and they're coming from a place of fear, because that's how she would feel if she were in my position, I don't identify with that. And to me, her placing her fears on me is like blanketing me in her own insecurities. And that is very much the blanket, which I talked about last month or possibly the month prior to that, the blanket under which I have been trying to escape, the blanket of somebody else's fears. If I don't have the fears and I have confidence in myself moving through these circumstances of my life because I have chosen them for myself, this is what I chose, this is what I'm dealing with, this is how I'm going to navigate through it. And granted, like every choice I have to make comes as it comes. I can anticipate as much as I can, but we all know that life throws us, a monkey wrench. Life throws us challenges that we're not expecting, and we have to deal with those things, and that's okay. Am I prepared to deal with those challenges? Maybe not. Am I equipped to come up with solutions? I think that I'm intelligent enough and resourceful enough that yes, I can come up with solutions. So I'm not saying that I don't have any securities. I don't have any insecurities. I'm not saying that I don't have fears. And I'm not saying that there aren't situations that make me anxious. But the decisions that I'm making for my life and the path that I'm choosing, it's a path about which I feel pretty confident that I can handle the challenges that arise. I feel confident in myself, in my ability to overcome obstacles. And again, I do have my own insecurities. But when other people come from their point of view with their insecurities and trying to make suggestions or impose their fears upon me, these are the choices that they would make because these are the fears that they have. I don't want those insecurities. I don't have those insecurities. I've worked very hard to free myself, to get myself out from under that heavy blanket of the imposition of other people's fears, anxieties, and insecurities. I only want to deal with my own and work through those, but I don't need other people to impose their fears on me. And it made our dinner conversation very uncomfortable because I had to stand my ground. I had to stand up for myself. And just doing that alone, I think, made my mother uncomfortable. And how can I tell her that you're never going to understand where I'm coming from? You're never going to understand my point of view because we have a completely different gauge on fear, on insecurity, on what makes us have a sense of safety and security in life. What makes me feel uncomfortable is being made to feel trapped in this world of fear, especially when they're not my fears. And the thing is that safety, the sense of safety and security is really, it's a rather subjective matter. So I guess I'm bringing this up because I am really strongly considering my point of view and my standpoint through my experiences as they are presented to me. I'm in this situation. Can I objectively stand here and assess that is your fear, that is not my fear? Or sometimes there might be a situation where I hear you because I share that fear, I share that insecurity. But I'm also being asked to consider what makes me feel safe, what makes me feel secure, what is security? And how does that differ from the expectations held by the people with whom I surround myself? Do I need to maybe surround myself with people that share more similarities in terms of their values, in terms of their understanding of security or insecurity, their feelings of feeling safe, their feelings of confidence versus fear? And so maybe part of the reason why I'm being called to put this up on a video today is so that you take a moment to consider what makes you feel safe and secure, what makes you feel insecure, what are your fears about your future? Do those fears bring you in anxiety? What can you do to alleviate those fears? How can you redirect your course and move in a direction that makes you feel secure in what you're doing so that you have the confidence in the path that you're taking? And also, perhaps I'm being called to put this video out so that you can reflect. It's like a reminder or a confirmation, something to bring it to your attention so that you can consider and reflect on the outside influences on your life. If you're undergoing changes in your life or you're adapting your lifestyle, how are you being met by others? How are others perceiving these adaptations and changes that you're making in your life? Are you being supported? Are they shooting you down? Are they stopping you and blocking you only out of their own fear? Are they trying to reroute your path because you're doing things that they wouldn't do? Are you able to identify where, their perspective and where their insecurities are forming their advice or their suggestions, their so-called suggestions, that it's choices that they would make for themselves? Can you differentiate between the sound suggestion that this person is offering for a lifestyle that they're choosing, while simultaneously being able to differentiate the two different types of life paths and know yourself and have confidence in what you're doing because you're taking a different kind of life path? These are the questions that are being presented today, and they're pertinent to me. They may be pertinent to the steps that you're taking in your life, and I am sharing. I often believe that when certain videos pop up in your feed, there's a reason for that. If you're here watching this video, perhaps it resonates with what you are going through in your life. So thank you for watching. Thank you for coming to Compass Starlight. Be well.